Let me know when you're ready. I'm gonna start from the top.
I'm ready.
Ready? Okay, okay. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I know we have some live streaming on YouTube Live and Facebook Live, and we have a few people in the room. Thank you so much for showing up. And I know that Shelly and I we keep saying that this is probably from Keller Williams, and we want to give them credit for the original idea, maybe from 20, 30, 50 years ago, is to get up, dress up, and show up. So congratulations for being here. I mean, this is an achievement itself, just to show up and to participate and to do something, to be in action, not just being home, not inactive. That's not what we want. So today we're going to talk about actually a special topic regarding stale listings or stale market. However, before we talk about that, I want to give credit to this group called the Girls with Grit. And they actually, I saw their training ideas about the sale market. It kind of clicked with me because I've been trying to, on one side is I'm trying to figure out a way to deal with my own listings because I have a couple of listings that have been on the market for a while. I'm thinking, what do I do? What can I do to deal with this, to promote or push or whatever to do to do more about it, to promote it. And on the other side, I'm thinking I'm not alone. I know this market. I've dealt with this type of market many times because I started in 2008 during the big depression, I guess, the down market, and I've been through up and down. So for a lot of agents who joined the workforce of real estate in the past 5 years, they may not have seen this before. They may be shocked by this market. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is down. No, let me tell you, this is not down because you have not been to 2008, 2009, 2010. And then even during like 2016, 17, 18, there's a little bit up and down. And then even a little bit before COVID, like 2020, early 2020, it was horrible. Everybody was putting on like a hold. Nobody did anything at that time. So it looks like the world was gonna end. But of course, it took a sharp turn, and we went up and up and up and up all the way until 2020, and then all the way to when the interest rate went up, and then the market slowly adjusting itself and also going into what we call a stale market. And I want to give credit to Girls and Grits because they are our co-sponsors. I want to thank Veronica for joining us a couple months ago. And when she joined, it was perfect timing. It was right after we started the co-sponsorship program in EXP. If you're not with EXP and you don't know what co-sponsorship is, you should come and ask us about it. And tell you how wonderful it is. So now we, in our team, we have three different co-sponsorships. One of them is with Girls with Grace and over helping Veronica Chan. And because of this co-sponsorship, we created a bonding and connection with this special group, Girls with Grace, and they have tons of great resources and training. So this is one of their trainings that was offered on and off in the past. I guess I don't know how long they have been doing that, but on and off for a few times. And I just happened to catch one of them, and I realized this is some of them. I didn't use their entire training, but I borrowed a few slides from their training and trying to focus on what we need today. So let's talk about definition of a stale listing or stale market. So these are the three girls that, again, I want to show their faces, and they do this Zoom meeting, and they also do in person, but this time was a Zoom meeting. So I kind of captured their information and showed it to you. And the stale listings, what they have given is, I think this is pretty much general in the market, is that you need to, first of all, you need to know the market. Okay, as a professional, if you're really doing this as a professional, you need to keep up with the market, read up, and check out, read everything. So the average days on market, you need to know what's the current average days on market, right? Does anyone know what's the average days on market right now? 60. Okay, good question. Good number.
45.
40.
I was gonna say 45.
All right.
We'll talk
Okay.
about it.
Yeah, I think nationally it was 45. That was last week. I don't know if any changes today. So basically, if any listings has reached that average days on market, it's being called a stale listing. And the listing has gone doubled over, then then that's not good. I mean, these are the listings that we need to focus on and try to do something about it. And we need what we call it a lost significant showing momentum is that when you first put it on the market, and then there will be like a spike of showings and interest on the internet. I don't know if you have any tools to track that, but I have a tool from homes.com because last time we talked about it, I'm a member, and then they will show me how many people actually clicks on the listing. They'll show me how many people click on it, how many people actually read the details, and how many people saved it in their favorites. It tells me the traffic on a particular listing, and that tells me, oh my gosh, when I put it on the market the first week, I have like 200,000 clicks, but in the second week and third week, it significantly dropped to maybe only like 30,000 clicks a day or something. So it's just you can see in the momentum means more attention, more attraction. People come here. If the listing has lost that momentum, then that is already a stale listing. So I have put together some market overviews. I don't know if you know about this. There's a public statistics report on netrus.net. So that's our MLS system. If you have not seen this before, you should, and you should go back and to look it up as soon as possible. Every month it comes out a statistics report and it's public access. You don't need to log into MLS. You don't have to pay for MLS to get this. It's on the public website. Just go to netrus.net. You will see it. And I only captured a couple screens from that long report. It's a big PDF report. It has lots of things in it. I'm only capturing a couple of screens here. I don't know if you can see. It might be a little small here. But I just want to point out a couple of things. One is the closed sales is low. It's compared to the same period of time last year, it's dropped to 6.5%. And the inventory month supply home for sale is increased 26% from the same period of time last year. And this is month supply, it's a 5.3%. It's 5.3 months of supply. That means we're actually moving into a buyer's market because before in 2023 it was 2.9. A lot of people already like, oh my god, it's so slow. No, that's not slow. 2 months is average. In the past 40 years, if the market has 2 months of supply, that's normal, and that's actually a slightly on the seller side market. So less than 2 months, definitely seller's market. At 2 months, 2.9, it's just a slightly maybe tilting a little bit to the seller's market, but it's kind of normal. 4.2, it's also adjusting maybe balanced. I think between 3 and 4, that's pretty balanced. And 5.3, if it reaches 6. In general, people will be definitely saying that, oh, this is a seller's market. I'm sorry, this is a buyer's market already. So we are actually about to reach into buyer's market. Earlier this year, I don't know if you have listings earlier this year. I had a few listings earlier this year. It looked pretty good. Actually, it went really fast, and we have like a few listings had multiple offers. So at the time, everybody was very optimistic because the spring looks great. The month of March, month of April, early May, everything looks good. But as soon as it rolls into Memorial Day weekend, it reaches to a hard drop. Like nothing happened between the Memorial Day and literally the whole month of June. Just no showings. So I have seen listings that have absolutely no showings for 2, 3 weeks. Nothing wrong with the listing. Nothing wrong with the price. But price is a component. We'll talk about it. However, we are dealing with a very tough market right now. Everybody is in the same boat, so don't feel too bad about yourself if your listing is not moving. But there are things we can do to deal with it. So there are. This is what Rose Grace had put together 4 key components of listing success. This is actually for a general information, not particular to the sale market. But we'll talk about a little bit, a few things that we can do to deal with your sale listing. So preparation, presentation, price, and promotion. These are the 4 key components to listing success. I love how they did this. That's why I'm borrowing their ideas. We know all of these information, these ideas already because we've done it ourselves for so many years. However, I just love how they categorize them and put them in this presentation. So basically, we'll talk about each piece in the next few slides, but I'm going to run through these bullet points if you can read them because it's kind of small. Basically, cosmetic for preparation, there are lots of things we need to do. Updating, decluttering, and also the Shelly is doing that right now. And staging, cleaning, presentation will be runs from media, photos, and MLS, description, highlights, showings, and price is very important. We'll talk prices later. And promotion, including how do you do your marketing, how do you maybe there's some online paid services, ads, and how do you do buyer matchmaking, open houses like what we did yesterday. And thank you all so much for coming. So that was just a quick rundown of all these ideas. And for preparation, I don't know how long you do with your listings. I know a couple of you are new. Maybe Shelly, like what kind of things you do with preparation?
Well, first of all, when I first meet the clients, we will walk through their house and then I will have an idea like what they need to do. And then, if we nail down that they choose me as their listing agents, and I will go through the items with them, like at least they need to do, sometimes need painting and do some upgrades. And like the slides say, the declutter, that's for sure, putting their personal belongings away. They need to move anyway, so start packing, why not, right? Get it start ready. And that's what preparations must do for me.
Yes, very good, very good. So she's very experienced and very successful over the years. If you have questions, ask Shelly. So to me, you can also read the bullet points while I'm talking, but I'm going to talk a little bit different from what they have here. So to me, preparation has so many things to it. I mean, preparation is so important. It's actually more important than the things you actually do during the listing, because a lot of the people, the relationship between you and the seller is the key for your success. And preparation is to setting up expectations. When you set the right expectations, then you will have a successful relationship long term. But if you didn't set up the expectations right, then your expectations and their expectations have a difference there, then eventually someone will be mad. Maybe it didn't meet their expectation and they'll be mad at you. Maybe they didn't meet your expectation and you'll be mad at them. So setting up expectations with each other is so important. So preparation, not only we need to prepare the house, but also we need to prepare the sellers and we need to prepare ourselves. A lot of times with the listing position, I am very fortunate that I work with a lot of sellers that they're already my friends. So we kind of know each other already. So I kind of already, before I went to do the listing presentation with their properties, I already had a strategy in my mind on how to deal with these people because I know their personalities, right? But a lot of times we're not that fortunate enough to know these people beforehand. Sometimes we are on the on a different level of being fortunate that you got referred to some strangers, right, through your friend. So you go to their home and do the listing presentation before you even met them, right? So maybe the going to their home, meeting them, or do the listing presentation is the first time you meet these people. You have no idea if they're, was that Judy? The other lender lady that she did the personality training, the disc. So before you go there, you don't even know if they're D or high I, high C. You don't know what their personality is. So it you when you go to do the presentation, or when you prepare a house on the listing, you need to prepare not only the house, not only the property. It's easy to do the decluttering. Well, it's not easy, but it's mentally or emotionally, it might be okay to deal with the houses, the renovations, the painting, or removing stuff, or moving stuff. However, to deal with the sellers emotionally and spiritually, on the level of their, how do you control their expectations? What do you do if they're living in there? Oh, well, if they don't live there, it's easier, right? They're already out of the house. They're ready to sell. They know that they need to sell the house. That makes it easier. However, if they live in the house, I've dealt with many sellers. They still live in the house. Literally, right now, I have a client who's had told me that they're gonna get the house ready to put it on the market by this Friday, but they're still living in there. To me, it was crazy, but they want to do it, so we had to work. I had to work with them, right? So you have to prepare them psychologically, mentally, emotionally, everything. That's part of preparation. And also, we'll talk everything. You know, decluttering is one thing, and pricing is another thing. Those are the two key things you have to talk to the sellers about. So I'm not gonna read again, I'm not gonna read the bullet points. So if you're interested in the bullet points, or read them yourselves. So I'm gonna talk about how I do it, and I just wanna share with you. And presentation, it's kind of easy and hard at the same time. Easy is, okay, take pictures, right? So how do you take pictures? You take pictures yourself, you hire someone. Who do you share? Who do you hire? Like, how much do you want to pay? Because there are literally tons of photographers out there, right? Do you want to just hire someone like your friends? Or you want to hire someone, or what kind of pictures do you want to take? Like recently we found out that, oh yeah, this photographer provides the floor plan picture. Maybe that's very important. That is very useful, actually. However, I say I pick the quality of the picture over having that 2D picture, right? So maybe you have to. This is something that you have to have experience. Yeah, go ahead.
Recently, I find out you can separate those. I hired one of the photographer to do the
Pictures.
2D floor plan
Okay,
picture
yeah.
and the aerial, just the shooting from above.
Yeah.
And then I hired another photographer that I like only for inside.
Oh, great! Yeah, see,
So I
you can
got
be
both,
creative.
because we can compare the pricing, we have the limited funds too.
Right.
So the other ones, they charge a lot more on the 2D floor plans and the
Oh.
other stuff. So you can combine them together.
Oh, you see, being creative is one of the things we have to do. Like we can, hire different people to do that. So those are the things that you have to consider when you do the presentation. You basically is presenting this listing to the public. So that's your job. Your job. That's why the sellers hire us. Why would they hire us, right? They can put it on Zillow, whatever, Redfin on their own. But why do they hire us? Because we're professionals. We have done this many, many times. So one of the things you could say to your seller when they ask you why should I hire you? Why should I pay you to sell my house when there's so many tools online? I can do it myself. Just what I have done to my sellers or to my clients is, look, I have been selling houses, like my transaction record is at least 30, 40 houses a year. How many houses have you sold in the past 5 years? Heck, if they're experienced, maybe they sold one. But I have sold 50 in the past 5 years. Which one do you want to pick, right? So when you have experience, that's money. You pay money to the lawyers, you pay money to the doctors to fix your stuff, right? Because you pay higher amount to people to do a good job because they have experiences. The things they know through multiple transactions and multiple years of training is different from the people. Oh, I have sold a house 15 years ago. Is totally different. And having that experience will save you money, will save you time, will help you get rid of all the risks. Because you just don't know. There are lots of risks when you step into it could be disaster. And you don't know how to handle that. You don't know how to handle a buyer who has a finance problems. You don't know how to handle a inspector who may have done something wrong to your house when they're doing the inspection, right? How do you deal with things like that? If you don't have a professional hold your hands to go through that process, it will be a total disaster. So presentation, other than the houses, the pictures, there are a lot of things that we need to do on MLS itself. So to put a listing on the MLS, we put pictures, we put all the information, and we need to come up with a description. So how many of you use ChatGPT to come up with a description? I don't know. So a lot of people I've seen, like, okay, I'll say it here today, but maybe in the future I'll change it. Maybe just because I'm old. I do not like the ChatGPT version of the description of a house. Because when I see a listing, it starts with big words and putting together. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. I knew immediately that's generated from ChatGPT. So I just ignore it. I don't even read it. But some people may do a really good like editing. Maybe they use ChatGPT and do it after they get it and they edited it to sound like human. That might be better. But sometimes I just like to use my own words. I like straightforward and point out the big things that I think is important to the public, to the buyers. But that's also through experience, right? Because you have worked with so many buyers, so you know what the buyer is looking for. And those are the things you want to put in your description so that that will catch buyers' attention. Oh yeah, the buyer is looking for a two-story, family room, or the buyer is looking for 2 bedrooms down. The buyer is looking for more bathrooms in the house, or the buyer is looking for like 3-car garage or something. So put the main things that buyers looking for in the front. And also, I don't know, does this say here? I read it somewhere, but I totally agree with that. I think I read it from not here, from another source. That's the thing that you got to constantly keep up with the technology and the news and resources to just read everywhere that you can get your hands on. So people's attention right now is very short, very, very short. So when you write your descriptions of the property, don't feel like you want to write a novel or you want to write an essay that you have to go on and on to make it beautiful or poetic. Don't. Okay, straight to the point, and people's attention can no more than 5 words in the first sentence. So make sure you put the most important key features of this house in the first 5 words in the description. So that is actually pretty practical. Okay, that's it for presentation. I'm talking too much. Price. Okay, this is a huge topic. We can talk about price forever and ever. I was gonna say it's all about price because I tell everyone that if anyone asks me, I always say that there is no house that cannot be sold, but there are always a price that cannot be sold. So if you look at any properties on the road, no matter how crazy it is, right off a highway or right under a high power line, there's always somebody living there. It's not vacant unless they're far, far like are in a rural land that nobody can get to, right? As long as there's population, there's someone living in the very crappy house in the middle of the in the middle of the road. Why? Because there's a price for them to fit there. So there's always a price, and price is the key. We do our part to prepare the seller, to prepare the property, to put a good presentation on it, but price is the key. We have to price it right. And I know it's hard. It's not just the sellers. The seller, or sometimes we say, "Oh, it's the seller." Sometimes I fall into that trap too. I say, "Oh, I advise the seller to do this." Literally, it's a failure. There was a failure I want to share. It's a failed experience last year, or the year before, 2020. Anyway, so maybe a couple years ago, I had this seller, my friends, very close friend, very nice friends, and I bought the house for them a few years back before COVID. And I know exactly how much they paid, and I know how they left the house. And I did the CMA when they wanted to sell the house. I did CMA immediately. I told them the house, the price I would recommend is $790. Guess how much they want me to put it on the market?
900.
$890, $100,000. Oh my gosh. Hi, how are you? We're wrapping up. Sorry. Anyway, so that was my failure, and I was like, and they're like, oh, we're not in hurry yet. We just want to see. We think it's worth this. Plus, at the time, they still live in the house and they didn't move out. So I said, okay, fine, we'll give it a try. Never ever do that. Okay, that was a failure. So never ever do that. Don't be like me on that particular listing. Put your foot down. Tell them this is the price we have to go off. If you don't want to do this, don't do it right now. Wait until you're ready. Obviously, you're not ready. So, and for market like this, if it's been sitting on the market for a while, go back to talk to your seller. Look, this is the market. I'm not trying to, undervalue your house, but we cannot look at the past 3 months of CMA anymore because the past 3 months was in the summertime. When we put it on the market, it was April, May, or actually June doesn't even have a lot of listings. If you look at closings, if you look at the past 3 months, major closings all happened in like April and May timeframe. So you can't look at those listings anymore. Those CMAs are already outdated. So you have to look at now and the future because you're not going to close until maybe a month or 2 months later. So we have to compare the prices and make sure that we know what the velocity is of the market, and to use that velocity to measure what kind of price will trigger the buyers to come to buy and make an offer, right? So these are all the things that we need to do: be creative and be vigilant and diligent to keep up with the market.
I have a question. In
Yes.
that case, when you take the price, you take only the price of like the 30 days before?
Well, right now, actually, we're looking at active.
Mhm.
Like before this market shows like slow and stale.
Yeah.
I can look at if it's a quick market. I'll look at past 3 months. That's kind of in general how we do it. But in this market, like I said, I don't look at the sold listings anymore.
Mhm.
I have to look at active.
Yeah.
I have to look at active. But that's not normal. Normally, you want to look at
All the
sold.
picture.
Yes, yes. Actually, look at the sold listings more because that's the real money. That's the real prices when they close. When you look at active listings, you are looking at people who want to sell at these prices, but they have not closed. You don't know what price they're going to close on. However, to look at the active listings and compare to the velocity. If you look at the velocity, like, okay, in the past 2 months, there are only like 2 listings sold. then that means that currently if you have like 12 listings in your market, you may want to be the lowest two prices so that you can catch that. And then maybe even it's lower because of the summer, the end of summer, and then we're rolling into fall and rolling into quickly holiday season. You have to wait for next year, basically.
Yeah, I think, I think right now, compare with the on market is so important.
Yeah.
Because, you prepare for putting a house on the market, and you have 6 sold in the past, 6 months, and you still have 5 on the market, look exactly like the house you're gonna put on the market. They've been on the market for like 30 more days, how are you gonna compete with those houses? That's a very important part you need to talk to your seller
Yeah,
about.
at the end of the day, it's about the competition, what they are going to sell, or
Yes,
it's all about the
yes.
competition that you
Exactly.
have. Exactly.
Yeah.
I usually look with it on typical market. You need to be like for example, I saw that in some areas the listings are selling very fast, but even if you have a listing here in one market, and you cross the street and it's a different subdivision, is a different world.
Different world,
So
yes.
right now, yeah, I completely agree. It's all about the active.
Yes,
More than that.
exactly.
And
Thank you.
also, when you do the salary report, pay attention to the school district as
Yeah.
well. Sometimes, you're in the same city, same zip code, but one school district and the other one can be a huge difference.
Yes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Very good, thank you, thank you. Gabby, that's right, yeah. I see you often.
Yeah, I know.
On the Zoom all the time, yeah, so I wanna introduce Gabby and Kevin, Dahlia, and Shelly.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And we have a couple people online. So this is the fourth key promotion, and again, you can read the bullet points, but all I can talk about, all I want to talk about today is be creative. Okay, promotion, you have to figure, you can spend thousands of dollars online to buy ads, but you have to be able to catch the market by something special about you and your listing. You have to know the listing well enough and the neighborhood well enough to say, okay, my listing is different. My listing is worth buying because of, right, fill in the blank there. Also, I want to bring up that Kevin is one of our preferred lenders, and he's really good at come up with solutions. And yesterday, at one of my listings broker of the house, he brought up this solution. I thought it was a great idea. It was a brilliant idea. Is for the sellers to offer incentives to drop the interest rate, right? So this has happened a few years back already, maybe starting in 2022 or 2023. Sellers started to put in even in the outline description. They will say, okay, a seller offers like a buy down option. And the buy down option at the time it has a specific definition. And right now we don't see that many, but it's similar to buy down, right? So if the seller, instead of dropping another $20,000 on the price, we could say, hey, the seller will offer maybe, for example, I'm not saying this is how you want to do it, but for example, but work with the lender to see how much you want to drop and what kind of interest rate you can get. Like if we drop $10,000, not drop, like if we give $10,000 incentives at closing, then the lender can come in with a 5.8% interest rate. That's a huge incentive. For a lot of buyers, they are in the market to buy, but they can't make a decision or they cannot buy the house they want to buy. It's because of the interest rate.
I prefer the new construction for that reason.
Exactly. That's why a lot of new constructions are pushing because the builders are offering the incentives to buy down the interest rates. So if you have any questions, ask Kevin.
Yes, I came in from the new build. I was preferred lender for the new build
Oh,
construction.
right.
I know all the tricks.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me, and then if you want to know how much you seller want to contribute to the buyers, and then what around interest rate, and then I can.
Yeah, in resale is contribution, right? It's a
Yes.
concession. It's a concession, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
So-
the marketing is
Yeah.
concession.
Yes, yes. So, this is the actual key. So in the beginning, we said a success, there are four keys to the success of a listing. And I already talked about the preparation, presentation, price, and promotion. We already talked about the four keys. So this is an actual key, which is communication. Communication goes throughout the entire process and the entire, I think probably your entire career life or maybe your life, grander scale, if you look at your family, communication is also key too. So what you need to do is that communicate, and communicate, especially in this market when it's stale. How do you keep up with your sellers and make sure that they know what you're doing? First of all, you need to do it. You can't just say, oh, it's on the market for 2 weeks, I can't do anything. It's on the market for 2 months, it's the market, I can't do anything. So don't try to put blames on other people. Try to take responsibilities. Try to do something. Do something and report. Always communicate to the sellers so the sellers knows you're doing something. Maybe every day, maybe every other day, at least every week. You need to tell the sellers, okay, this week what I did this. I did this open house, I did that open house, I reached out these potential buyers, I did all the listing, I emailed, you do something. You need to find out all the tools you can reach out to, all the audience you can reach out to, all the tools you can use, and use your CRM and use your MLS. Last time, what's her name? We had a lady here that always come to the Wednesday meetings. She did a training on reverse prospecting. That was really good too. I always know that function is there. I never really delved into it and did a lot of things. And I participated in that training. I was like, wow, that's great. I should do this. Why haven't I done this before? So I started going through the list there. And literally, I sent out a few, just not all of them. I think I had like about 50, 60 people on the list on one listing. And I only reached out because it was I did everything manually. I didn't have any automatic tools. I did maybe only 4 or 5 emails, and one of them actually brought their clients to the showing. So we had a showing to the house. That's like great, even though they didn't make an offer. I asked them, they said, oh, they didn't like the kitchen, blah, blah, blah. So I said, okay, at least we have a showing. So it works. So try it, and there are a lot of things you can try. Just do something and communicate. Always communicate. Okay, so I want to show you these girls again because I got this idea from them, even though a lot of the training contents basically is from us, from our team. However, I like their bullet points, I like their titles, so I want to show you what they look like. Okay, so any questions or you want to share? Basically, this is the end of the presentation. We're gonna wrap up exactly at 10:30 because we have another meeting later and then Shelly needs to go. So any questions? We have 4 minutes.
Okay, I just want to quick add on something, really quick. Feedbacks. Right now, before when the market is good, you as a listing agent, you don't care about the people feedback. You're gonna get it sold anyway. And now listen to other people's feedback will help you and help your seller. Find out why they didn't make an offer. Is it pricing or is there anything you can update in the house? What is the reason they didn't like that house?
Right.
So make that phone call and find out.
Yes, very good. So I'll share with you. Sometimes it's just it doesn't happen because even if you try, like the showing that I said, I followed up with the showing and then they said, oh, I didn't like the kitchen. I said, what, did you like it? They didn't like the color. I said, okay. So I already knew that because the sellers didn't want to update the kitchen. They had those dark brown wooden cabinets, and then I talked to the seller. I said, look, either we have to drop the price or we can update the kitchen. I mean, even if you update the kitchen, just change cabinets or just repaint it to white or change the countertop. Maybe the countertop or the kitchen floor also has those really old kind of beige color square tiles. I said, interchangeable or whatever. They said, no, we don't want to do it. We'll drop the price. So they dropped the price. I said, okay, fine. If you want to drop the price, that's fine. But that's one way to negotiate with the sellers, because sometimes you always have to negotiate. Sellers may not want to drop the price. Sellers don't want to update. In a period, nobody wants to spend money after they already moved out, right? So that's just an instinct. So when you have the feedbacks, like Shelly said, and you give the sellers feedback saying, hey, look, this is just showing that we could have a potential buyer, but they walked away because of this. So to prevent this from happening again, we need to do something, right? Drop the price or change something, and they didn't want to change something. So that's, that's a good cycle to me, that one round of kind of adjusting our listing to the market, but it doesn't always happen. I've had sellers that even though I asked them to drop the price or do this, they didn't want to do anything. That has happened too. So it doesn't always happen. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. If you have more questions, you can stay around and we can talk about it. And then we have our next meeting on August 6th, which is the first Wednesday of August. So we always do this the first and the third Wednesday of the month. Now, we didn't do much in June and July because I was totally out of the country. Now we're back. Okay, we got back to work. Questions? Good. All right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for setting this up.
No problem. There's like